till you cut me down.
Man, Benny, acá estamos. We're all moving like this, man. You know what I mean? Hijo, te aventaste, Benny.
You got a future in video.
Yeah, what do you think?
He's an
Richard?
awesome
That's
producer, man.
Hey, tell us about who are these yesterdays. Chalo, you've heard this song before?
So so I've heard these group before, and they're like an up and come. There's a bunch of groups in the last Benny, 3 to 5 years, right? Probably a little bit longer, but they're coming out in the last 3 years. They come out. They play a lot of this style of music, bro.
Really?
It is really, really good music, man. Tada que es, bro.
So are they youngsters? New generation playing oldies?
Benny, they're not that young, huh, Benny?
No, I've only been listening to him for about a couple of years. Like Chalo knows more about this because Chalo used to have his own show on Sundays.
So these battles are good, bro. You know what they do? They were at the House of Blues in San Diego, and they had these other groups there, man. And me and my wife were gonna go, but then something happened and we couldn't go, bro. But they go to the local scene, LA, and they're going out now.
They have other songs like this, oldies.
Oh yeah, their whole repertoire is this, bro. Yeah, that's chido, bro.
I'm gonna look them up, man. We'll look them up. Hey, Rich, we can't wait, man, to get started. But we'll do what we always do, brother. We're gonna give everybody a warm welcome. Do our shout outs. Mm-hmm. We got Champ Baker. Champ, I don't think I've ever seen you on our show before, but que ondas? Welcome to the show. Please hit the like button and please subscribe, brother. Mil gracias. We got Dim Jajanis, man, our brother Batman, all the way from Thailand. Thank you, brother. Once again, it's going to be a great show. The legend, yes, Benny, outstanding show. Gonzalez, Chalo, otra vez. We got the San Diego PD legend, 1097. Let's go. Gang detective legend. We got Champ saying he's watching us on a 75-inch HD TV. That means he can see all the cranny, see all the arrugas. Hey, Holmes, you know what? Dim it a little bit, por favor. He can see everything. We have our sister, man, Ceci Escano, all the way from Riverside. Saludos, La Unión, hace la fuerza, a huevo. Thank you, sister, once again, man, for always being there for us. We got Salty Rider. I don't think I've ever seen Salty Rider. Jake Peter, órale, bienvenido. Welcome, brother. Please subscribe. And we got Chalo and me. We're talking about the great song. And we got our brother, man, from brother that's always with us, just like Ceci and Chris. And Batman, Big VJ Juarez, greetings, brothers, from Long Beach. Many blessings to you all. Gracias, hermano. Mike Martinez, all the way from Colorado. Yeah, from Colorado, man. Hey, brother, you're always there for us. Mil gracias once again, brother, for watching us, for being there with us. Gracias. And we got our brother Ben Galvan, former sheriff. Thank you. Another great show. Yes, Ben, it's going to be outstanding. Oh, we got Gabe Morales. Hey, brother, thank you. And I heard you got a new job teaching. Congratulations. Tapped in, strapped in, and ready to ride with the Grandmasters. I think one of the biggest Grandmasters right in front of me. Well, actually, not in front of me, but Big Rich with us. Thank you. Prayers for the souls. What's up, fellas? Jesus Christ loves you. He loves us all. Man. Thank you for once again, brother, for watching us. Mil gracias. Gabe's watching us all the way from Hawaii right now. Rich.
Wow.
It's barely 3 p.m. in Hawaii, man.
Yeah, and he's up. Well, 3 p.m. really? Okay. Yeah, he's watching us. Oh, we got our master, man. We got our Patsy Cruz, Patsy Pie, all the way from Murieta. Benny's beautiful wife is with us. Gracias, Patsy. Guys, before we get started, we're going to do a quick shout out. We're going to go quick because this is going to be a banger of a show. I'm telling you. We got the Mop Spot podcast. It's a new podcast that Rene Boxer Enriquez and Raymond Mundo Mendoza just started. If you guys want to hear some old stories and want to hear two individuals tell the stories, it's called the Mop Spot podcast. Go ahead, Benny. I know you want to throw a shout out also.
They had a very good first show. I mean, I watched the first show and it was just a very, very, good information. And they both jive very well. They work very well together. Yeah. I encourage everybody to go out there and watch that show, man.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good show. I hope that it's once a week. I don't know if it's going to be once a week, twice a week, but I'm already set to go whenever it comes out. I'm going to get that ring. But guys, with that said, let's get started. And Benny, it's all yours, brother.
First of all, I want to do a shout out, and I wasn't aware that Gabe was going to be here, but I was going to give a shout out to Gabe Morales. He has a Mexican Mafia. Go support the channel. He's got some really good material. You're going to find him under Gangsters, Cops, and Politicians on the YouTube.
Yes, outstanding, man. And the guy's an expert and a good person overall. Yeah. We got somebody from your part of Imperial Valley. We got 2517 Echo. Good evening, gentlemen, from Brole.
Yeah.
And we got Anthony Sanchez.
Man. The homie's always on, bro.
Yeah.
He's an avid listener now. So
yeah, gracias. Does he work with you, Chalo?
No.
Is he one of your buddies? No?
No. You know what? I probably know who he is. I mean, just when you start putting all these different 2517 Echo is probably somebody who works at the prison or probably county jail at one point.
Yeah. Well, thank you, brother. Benny, let's get started, man, because you know what? This is a banger. Let's go.
Yeah. First of all, I want to thank Police and Fire Publishing for allowing us to use some of their content and material. That video wouldn't be possible without their help. So thank you so much to Police and Fire Publishing. Okay, so tonight we have retired LA County Sheriff's Detective Sergeant Richard Valdemar. Sergeant Valdemar retired from LASO after spending 33 years investigating street and prison gangs. For the last 20 years, his assignment was with the Major Crimes Bureau. Sergeant Valdemar is one of the original members of the LASO's Operation Safe Streets gang unit. He was also cross-designated as an FBI agent for 10 years in his career when he served on the Federal Metropolitan Gang Task Force. From 1995 until his retirement in 2004, Valdemar was a member of the California Prison Gang Task Force, helping prosecute members of the Mexican Mafia. Richard, we're excited to have you, on again, brother, and thank you for coming back.
Well, thank you all. I enjoy your program. Enjoy being on it.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother. So Richard, it's truly an honor. It is.
So Richard, today we're going to be discussing the 1995 murders in El Monte, which came to be known as the Maxon Road murders. Can you please give us a summary of the murder investigation? Who, what, where, when, and why did this murder occur?
Well, 5 people were killed in El Monte in April of 95. The problem was that the usual victims, Mexican Mafia members or associates, in addition to them, a female and 2 children were murdered. Now, normally this is against Mexican Mafia rules. They don't kill women, innocent women, or children. That's one of their rules. Now, if a female is involved in they call it the madness, then she's eligible to be wiped out just like anyone else, but not kids. So this attracted a lot of attention, but I really have to start the story with this unusual guy, Luis Pelon Maciel, who's going to be the orchestrator of this whole thing, the godfather of this incident. And he started out as a party crew member. He wasn't a member of El Monte Flores like he eventually would become. He was a party crew member. But at some point he decided, and a drug dealer, and at some point he decided that he wanted to be a member of El Monte Flores. So he joined the Flores organization, And then he went and store-bought tattoos that indicated that he was a longtime gang member. He even got prison-type tattoos that would show that he had been in prison when, in fact, he had not. But he played the part. He was, in the eyes of the Mexican Mafia, a moneymaker because he was dealing drugs in the El Monte area and making a lot of money. And, of course, the Mexican Mafia obtained 10% of that, a third of that in their profits. So that would all come in collision with another guy who was running that would be Wedo Shyrock, Raymond Shyrock, who was a white guy, but a member of the Mexican Mafia, a 20-year member of the Mexican Mafia. So he was supposed to be the overall controller of the El Monte area. So what happens is during one of the Mexican Mafia meetings that we monitored, that's video and audio monitored, we have a situation where Wedo Shyrock complained about a dropout by the name of Dito. And Dito lived in an area right with, in the same apartment complex as Wedo Shy. Now, this is a violation of the Mexican Mafia's rules. If you see somebody who's on the hit list and you're in proximity to that person, it is your requirement that you have to take care of that person. So at the meeting, he disclosed that he knew he was supposed to take care of this guy, but he was surrounded, the victim was surrounded by children and other people in and out that were not part of the game. So Wedo Shy was looking for a silencer so that he might be able to kill the guy without having to kill or shoot anybody else. So what he does, his solution is that he brings Luis Maciel to a meeting of the Mexican Mafia in April, and he decides that he's going to put the guy up for membership in the Mexican Mafia. Now, the rest of the crew of the Mexican Mafia, there's quite a few of them there, 14, 15 of them there. They didn't know Maciel. They had no information about him. This is unusual for a Mexican Mafia member to sponsor someone who's unknown to the other members for membership. And there's a long argument about whether Maciel should enter or not. Eventually, they bow to Wedo Shy's authority and 20 years of service, and they on his word, vote Maciel in as a Mexican Mafia member. And then
Rich, could I show the video real quick?
Sure.
I have the video. Okay, here we go. We're going to show the video of everything you're talking about right now, that meeting, and you guys were actually recording it. We talked about it in our last episode. Here we go.
A friend says 24-year-old Pallone was jumped into a gang called El Monte Flores, went out and tattooed his stomach, and changed overnight into a hardcore gangster bent on making a name for himself. By April of 1995, at another Mexican Mafia meeting, secretly videotaped by an LA County Sheriff's Task Force and later obtained by Fox News.
I've been watching him for a year myself.
Wedo Shy sponsors Pallone for membership in the MA.
I think it's time that he deserves it, man. He's got it coming. And I'm not just going on the things he's done for the violence. Yeah, he's down a whole bunch of other man. He's got to put a head on his shoulders.
But here at Pelican Bay State Prison, where many Mexican Mafia kingpins are locked down for life under maximum security, there has been a call for a moratorium on new MA members. And here, there is resistance to Wedo's move to bring in Pallone.
How about giving some of these other brothers a chance to know the dude?
After all, unlike other Mexican Mafia soldiers, Pallone had never even been to prison.
There's a few dudes that they feel that are brothers right now, which were a mistake. There's some things that have to be straightened out.
Pallone is waiting outside the room as his mentor, Wedo Shy, pushes for a vote.
He's earned everything. I never would have brought it up for you. Yes or no, man? Yes or no?
In the end, Wedo Shy's influence carries the vote in Pallone's favor.
Wedo's word right here. Okay.
Same thing.
Wedo ain't gonna sit here and lie to us. So everybody sits out, right? Yeah.
Minutes later, Pelon is escorted into the room where Güero Shai is the first to shake his hand and welcome him into this brotherhood of killers. Loyalty to the MA comes before all else, even before your own family. It is by their own rules, a life commitment.
Yeah, there's certain reglas and guidelines that we go by, and we're real serious about them, you know?
For instance, it was decided Mexican Mafia dropout Dito had broken his vow to the MA. And now, the black hand of the Mexican Mafia would select its newest member, Pelon, to arrange a hit on a carnal, or blood brother, who is perceived as a traitor. Detectives say Pelon enlisted a violent San Gabriel street gang to carry out.
Go ahead, Richard.
Yeah, the reason that Pelon selected Sangra, which is a rival of El Monte, to do that is to further himself from the murders. But they're all under the Mexican Mafia. They're all Sureños. So he picks a crew from Sangra, and he actually goes to the house that Dito is staying at. And this is Pelon, and provides Dito free heroin. This is a way of pointing him out to the crew that's going to come back and murder him. Then he told them, leave no witnesses. And then he goes to his son's baptism. This is a very public affair. He makes a big deal of it. And it's videotaped so that he would have a solid alibi. This is from The Godfather. That's why I mentioned him as The Godfather. This is called the Godfather defense. If you watch the movie The Godfather, that's how he establishes his alibi, by having a baptism while all his rivals are being murdered. And so that's what Pelon attempted to do.
Go ahead, David.
No, go ahead, Richard. Go ahead.
No, because I was going to go to the next. I wanted to know who Dito.
I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you, Richard. So, do you think that he really planned it like that to make a scene of The Godfather, or it just happened? It was a coincidence. Do you think he was that smart to say? Because here's a picture, and I was going to try to download the video. I didn't have a chance today, where he is actually baptizing the baby while these guys. I mean, do you think he actually planned it like that?
Yes, I do.
Really?
Wow. He's not an idiot. And plus, he's influenced by the gangster lifestyle. I mean, they all love, Scarface, right?
Yeah.
They all love The Godfather. They learned from those programs, those movies. So I'm sure he planned it that way.
That's how narcissistic he was, right?
Yes.
He goes out there,
You're
goes,
right.
I want to be just like that, So
That's
órale,
right.
and he probably changed the baptism time to coincide with a homicides, bro. I mean, that's how sick these vatos are in the head, man.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. Go ahead, Chalo.
Hey, so you touched on Anthony Dito Moreno. Who was he? I mean, can you tell us a little bit about this vato?
Yeah. Dito Moreno was, of course, a Mexican Mafia member for some time. In the 80s, late 80s, he dropped out of the Mexican Mafia. You have to show your face at meetings and stuff like that to remain with the Mexican Mafia. Now, he didn't defect like some and give information against the Mexican Mafia. He just stopped showing up. But that's defecting. And then the other guy that was with him is Alex Tito Aguirre. Alex had actually done robberies of Mexican Mafia-related drug dealers. So he was fair game as well.
Wow, man. Está canijo. I mean, está canijo. And you know what, man? I better not say this. I was going to say something. I was going to say I better start showing up to my Rotary meetings, or else they're going to show face, or else they're going to take me out. Yeah. Anyways, hey, so who were the other victims of the massacre, Richard?
They were kids. Well, the lady was a friend, female in there, and she just happened to be in the room. It's a very small room. And when they come through the door, the hit team comes through the door, and that would be Primo, Richard Valdez, and character Jimmy Palma, these Sangra members. And then the others were outside holding the doors. And these guys go through, and they see the two victims, male victims that they were targeting. And mostly Primo is believed to have killed those. But the other guy, character, He shot the female, and he shot the 2 kids. And we know this because he had a 45 Detonics, which is a very unusual 45. It looks like a 1911, but it's smaller and it was different lands and grooves, right? And including the baby, it was a 6-month-old baby and he put the Detonics pistol right in the baby's face and shot it in the head.
Wow.
This is not an accident. These were in, I guess he believed the thing, no witnesses meant no witnesses, not even a 6-month-old baby.
Yeah.
2 people survived. One was wounded, a boy, and a little girl hid in a cupboard and escaped. I read the newspaper articles that said they ran out of bullets. I'm not sure they ran out of bullets. I think they just started going crazy and then we're all interested in getting out of there.
Hey, Richard, do you think these guys that went in there and did this massacre, this homicide, murder, do you think it was the first time they ever did something like that, where they went in and killed somebody, or never got caught, or they've done it before?
Yeah, I once wrote an article about this. Gang members, you ask a local gang member, like somebody from El Monte Flores or Sangra, when did you join the gang? They'll say, I joined at 12 or 14. And you don't think they did drive-bys? You don't think they were involved in shootings? They're involved in shootings. They just never get charged with those shootings. It's not like these guys went in there without knowing that they were going to have to kill somebody. They knew it. They armed themselves well. They planned it well. And they identified the victims ahead of time. They kicked in the doors. They had guards at the door in a getaway car. Everything was planned. These guys had done this before.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Benny.
So, Richard, I mean, who was involved in this? I mean, who, from the initial order to kill Moreno, who ordered him killed? Why? And who was selected to carry the murder? Who specifically was told, hey, you're going to do the hit?
Well, Widow Shyrock, Raymond Shyrock, was the person who was embarrassed by the fact that he had been exposed to the victim and not perpetrated the murder. And so he gave the contract to his new brother, Maciel Pelon, and Maciel selected Sangra to distance himself. He could have chosen the El Monte crew, but he didn't want to. Instead, he chose the Sangra crew and sent them in and told them, leave no witnesses.
So in other words, the guy gets given an order to do a hit, and he can actually delegate it to somebody else?
Yes, Mexican Mafia guys can use any means they want to. It is more common that a Mexican Mafia is required to kill another Mexican Mafia member unless that person is on the green light list, and the green light means open for everybody, right? Anybody can take them. And so this guy, Dito, was on the green light list, well known as a possible victim. So anybody who knew that he was there could have killed him.
Hey, Richard, so if somebody has a green light and somebody else kills him that is not, part of this crew, do they get brownie points or anything special out of that?
Sure. Anybody who would have killed a person that's on the green light list, I'm talking about anybody in a gang, right? Not, his drunken brother-in-law.
Oh,
but
okay.
But somebody who's in one of those Sureño gangs who sees and identifies the person that's on the green light list has license to kill that person. And if they don't, this is what was embarrassing for Widow Shy, and they don't do it, then there's a problem for that person who doesn't do it.
Hey, Richard, during this time, were you guys still on the wire? Were you guys still investigating? Was it still the RICO case? Was it still in progress when this murder occurred?
Yes, those tapes are from our RICO monitoring of their Mexican Mafia meetings. So this was in the middle of the RICO case when this happens.
So when you guys found out, did you guys ever reach out? What is it called? Where you go and you advise the
you notify.
for that? Yeah, but there's a name.
We tried to make notifications, but we didn't know where Dito was.
Really?
I believe the other guy was on parole, so we didn't know where they were.
Yeah,
and that information hadn't come through on the wire or in the video, right? The only one who knew that was Shyrock, and Shyrock gave that information to Maciel, but the rest of the crew didn't have that information. So we were unable to stop this. We did stop like 40 other ones,
other murders. Yeah,
people who were in custody, people who were in custody and appeared on the green light list. We were able to find them and notify them that they were on the green light list. And surprisingly, many of them said, no, I'm good. Send me back into the yard.
Yeah.
So I had to invent a form so that they could sign to say that they were notified, and they were on their own free will, they re-entered the yard.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That's it. That's interesting. So after the murder, how long more did the investigation continue?
Which investigation? The Maxon?
The RICO. Yeah, the RICO Act. The
RICO continued for quite a while. I don't think we actually got a conviction until May. But the Maxon murder, I decided to remove that from the RICO, or my team did, because the people who committed this crime deserved the death sentence. And at the time, the federal government did not issue the death sentence, right? You could get them life, but that, for a Mexican Mafia member, doing life is nothing, right? They could do that, like they say, standing on their head.
Yeah.
So we wished to seek the death sentence. So with the help of El Monte PD, and I think El Monte rolled the first informant, and that would be Marty Penny. Marty Penny is the gang detective there. And the prosecutors from LA County District Attorney's Office, and that is the famous Anthony Manzella. They call him Prosecutor X. He only handles Mexican Mafia capital cases. Okay,
wow.
So we took this case to him once we identified the suspects and arrested them, and we turned some of them against their own people. And we were able to prosecute and convict Maciel as well as the shooters.
Rich, the night of the shooting, did you respond to the scene?
No, I did not. No. Actually, it was some. I think the next day when I went with one of my friends, Frank Durazo, to El Monte after the shootings.
Wow.
Hey, Richard, when they hit the house to go into, did they break the door down, knock on the door? How was the entry done to shoot these people?
I think they just barged in, opened the door. I don't think the door was actually locked, but they did have a guard at the door's car and another guy standing by, and then somebody else in the car.
Hey, Richard, can you describe the crime scene? Did you see the crime scene at all, the sketch?
Yeah, it's terrible. It's a little tiny room, and the front door is the only egress, right? You can only go in that one door, and then it's like 15 feet square room with two beds and lots of junk in the house. So once the shooting starts at the door, there's no place for them to go. They run towards the back of the room and then are executed as the two shooters come in.
Hey, Richard, so you did do a tariff-off warning to Muriel, right, Moreno?
No, he said he couldn't find him. They couldn't find Terrasoff. They couldn't find him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we tried, but we didn't find him. That's unfortunately the case. A lot of these guys are absconders, and they're hiding not just from the Mexican Mafia, because their life involves, ripping off drug dealers or other criminal activity. They're not known to us where they reside.
Hey, Benny, he mentioned that there were about 40 other cases that they did do the Terrasoff warning.
Yeah.
Because, but this one right here, they just couldn't find him. He was a parolee at large. One of them was parolee at large, but the other 40 cases, they were able to save their lives. Yeah.
Hey Richard, so I mean, we go back to people probably still wonder this, and we'll ask you one more time. How did this get out of hand? The MA wanted just one specific person killed.
The MA sent them in to convey a message. You don't drop out of the Mexican Mafia. While they're in there, the other guy they identify, who's also wanted by the MA for doing ripoffs, he's also fair game. And then I'm sure they start shooting the woman because she's a witness, and then it just gets out of hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were afraid that the 6-month little kid was going to be able to do something, right? I mean,
No,
these guys,
that's what really pissed off the Mexican Mafia, because this violated even their rules. But they didn't show their cards, right?
Now,
they kept that secret and waited until Character and Primo actually got convicted and sent to death row.
Hey, Richard, how long did it take you guys to arrest these guys?
Not too long. I don't remember if it was a week or something like that, but right away, El Monte PD had already produced some informants that were able to give us the names of the suspects right away. And everybody was shocked and appalled at the killing of little kids. Everybody hated that. And so it was a lot easier to get people to cooperate when those kind of things happen. I mean, a gang member killing another gang member, that's different.
Yeah.
But you start killing little kids, then everybody's in it.
Yeah. And then we're going to get in right now. It's the people have been asking what happened. We're going to get into what happened in prison and so forth. But before we go there, Benny, go ahead with your next question.
That's what it said. Court proceedings. What happened during the court proceedings? Who was charged with what? And what was the outcome? Where did they end up?
Well, I think only 3 of them actually got the death sentence. No, maybe 4. So Shyrock was already in our RICO. So they went after Maciel because he wasn't named in our RICO. Then the hit crew, right? So that would be Primo and Character, Scar, and Tricky, Danny Logan. So those guys were convicted as well for that killing. And they got sentenced to death. I mean, at least 3 of them did. And they went to death row.
Hey, Richard, did any of them turn against each other? Did any of them?
We had some
which one?
cooperation. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I got to tell you that some of their family members cooperated. So I'm reluctant to tell you who did.
Oh, that's fine. No problem. No problem, brother. Yeah. But they cooperated, so that added to the death sentence.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and then Maciel had, involved himself by taking the drugs to the victims and pointing them out to the hit team before. So it wasn't like his alibi, as in the Godfather defense, worked for him. Instead, wound up entangling him in the murder.
Okay, Chalo, go ahead.
Hey, so after the sentencing, where did these guys end up, and what happened to them as they entered San Quentin State Prison's death row?
So Richard Valdez, Primo, and Character Jimmy Palma and Maciel got the death sentence. So Primo and Character get convicted first, and they go to death row, San Quentin, and they get on the yard. And that's a real unusual thing, but they get treated by the MM members who are already there as if they're MM members. Now,
all of them do. All 3 of them do get treated like that. Because
not all 3 of them were not on death row. Right at that point, there was only Character and Primo who were on death row.
Mm-hmm.
And but they get treated like they're homeboys. One of the guards in the gun tower comments about this. He says, "I knew this was wrong because Sureños had come in on death row before, but they were never accepted by the Mexican Mafia because they were not members. But these two guys, Palma and Character, they get treated like they're Mexican Mafia members. You know, everybody's hugging them. They play games together. This is when death row didn't have individual cages. They had a common exercise area, and they played basketball together. On one particular day, the Mexican Mafia members who were on death row played basketball with these two guys, the Sangre members, and they play a strenuous game. So they get their heartbeats up, get their heart rates up. And then one of the Mexican Mafia members puts his arm around Primo, because Primo had not killed any of the children. He puts his arm around Primo and walks him away from Character and tells him, calm down, you know, you don't need to be here. And he walks him away. As he walks him away, the Ayala brothers come up behind Character. They grab one arm each and pull it behind his back. So his back is arched and his chest is forward. And then Chato Sandoval picks up a huge piece of metal, a wedge basically, places it on Character's chest, and then slams his hand into the wedge. He takes a second slam, slams a second time, and drives the wedge even further. Blood squirts out from the heart of Character. He walks about 15 steps, I'm told, falls down on the ground, and he's dead. The reason we're able to get this information is because eventually the two tower guards, tower number 1 sees almost nothing. Tower number 2 is a more experienced guard, and he recognized that there was something wrong and something was going to happen. So he begins to walk towards Tower 1 to get a better view of it when he sees this happen. He says you could hear the slap of that weapon entering the chest of Character all the way up into the gun tower.
Hey, Richard, so he saw when Sandoval stabbed him, the gun tower guy?
Yes.
I wonder why he didn't fire.
Because they didn't have, it was like over in a minute. It was,
it was seconds.
It was like 30 seconds. He hit him twice,
seconds.
And the blood was already skirting, and then he fired a warning shot. Everybody laid down.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was the end.
Wow. So Richard, after the stabbing, or I mean, after they killed him, you responded to St. Quentin, correct? Tell us the story about going to St. Quentin. Was it days after, and did you assist with the investigation?
It was a few days after, because San Quentin was interested in investigating this case because no one could figure out how that huge piece of metal got on the death row yard.
Yeah.
And they suspected that possibly it was, some staff member who was able to bring that in, because these guys go through thorough searches before they enter the exercise yard. And these guys are well known for being able to conceal weapons. So there was a very good search made of each one of them before they entered the yard. So something had to go wrong, or somebody had to pre-plant that weapon ahead of time. So I got to listen to the interviews of the two tower guards and some other witnesses.
Wow,
that was not a small weapon either.
Oh no, it's huge.
Yeah.
And unlike a shank, it's not driven. They actually put it on his chest like a vampire movie, right? With a hammer.
More like a stake.
Yeah, and drive it into his chest.
Yeah, that piece looked pretty heavy.
Yeah, they never could figure out where it came from.
Yeah. And Richard, let me also add, I spoke to the program administrator that was working there at the time. I spoke to him by phone last night. I spoke again with him earlier today, and a little while ago. He was telling me that about 6 months before, when these guys got to the yard, Mike Eisen, and I'm going to put his picture up. Everybody, those people that know about the M, Acha. Yeah. Did you ever deal with Mike Eisen?
No, he was from Northern California. I didn't have much contact with him.
Yeah, from San Francisco. But Mike Eisen used to be one of the informal leaders. I mean, I know that M doesn't have a godfather, doesn't have leaders, but wherever this guy went, whether it was Folsom, whether it was St. Quentin, he always had respect. He didn't demand it. He was a little guy, but because of his killings, he was a very intelligent individual. Well, he got to St. Quentin on a parole violation. He was living in San Francisco at the time, and for 6 months, they would have him on the death row yard, which was the first yard, with Ronnie, Hector, Sandoval, with all the M members. So for 6 months, he was there. He saw character. He saw the other individual. And there's no proof of this, but the day that he paroled, the following day is when Chato killed him, killed Palma. So, I mean, speculation is that he was the one that gave the order, but wait till I parole. Because literally he paroled, let's say on a Thursday, that Friday is when they killed him. But the irony of this, Richard, is that 6 months later, Mike was killed in a bar in San Francisco by a group of black guys. They beat him to death with a pool cue 6 months later. But it's just speculation. But it's very interesting. When he was there, he says, don't touch him. But when he was released the day after, that's when they made the hit. And with that said, can you tell our guests or people that are watching the show tonight, can you tell us a little bit about Sandoval, Chato Sandoval? I know that you arrested him, you investigated, but just so they could know who this guy was that stuck the knife into Palma. Can you tell us about him?
Sure. Chato Sandoval was a member of the Arizona Maravilla gang in East Los Angeles, and he was a killer. Unlike most of the Maravilla members, he was pro-Mexican Mafia. So everything he did was in union with the Sureños and for the Mexican Mafia. During an inter-gang incident, he killed two people in a park, two gang members in a park. So he became wanted, and I was in the gang unit at the time. And so we were trying to get him. I was a sergeant of the East LA operation Safe Streets. So we're trying to catch him. And I had the assistance of the industry gang sergeant, Charlie Araujo. And we chased this guy. And no matter when we hit the house that he had been at, just a few minutes or a few days before, we would find evidence that he had been there at these different houses. We're using our informants and other methods to figure out where he was hiding. He couldn't go home because we had that whole area locked down. Arizona Maravilla is only a couple blocks long. So we chased him from place to place. At one of the searches that we made of a house that he had been in, we found a picture of Chato with a 38 stuck in his waistband. And he liked to take pictures holding guns in front of lowrider cars. And these pictures and stuff like that and paraphernalia that he had, he would leave behind when he moved to another location. And he never stood still. So at one point, he goes to, I think, the Baldwin Park area, and he stays with a couple. This couple is white drug dealers. And he stays with them, and he's hiding from us and everybody else, the other gang members. And one of the times when these gang members, these drug dealers leave the house, Chato searches their house because he trusts no one. So he searches their house and finds a Sam Brown in a closet. Okay. So he assumes that these two people, these drug dealers, must be undercover police officers. So when they come back, Chato executes them. So now he's killed 4. And then he goes back on the run. Eventually, we were able to find out where he was, and I think the patrol units and the gang units surrounded a house and they arrested him. And of course, he, with his arrogance, no, nobody's going to take me, all that. But he comes into custody, and he comes to the East LA station. And we brought him in, put him originally in the cell, and then we broke him out and put him in the interview room to interview him. Now, this is a seasoned gang member, and we expected fully that he was going to invoke his rights and request a lawyer. So we left him in the room, and we had fabricated a file with, 2 inches thick paper in it. And all that was really involving Chato was the first couple of pages that had his wanted flyer and a couple of pictures. So when we'd walk into the room, we'd open the file just enough so he could see his picture, and he would think that a whole 2-inch file was on him. Arrogant as he is, he thought, oh, they got nothing on me. They can't get me. But we never asked him yet anything. We walked in and out of that room for 2 hours. After 2 hours, my friend Charlie Araujo says, we don't need to interview this guy. We got this guy dead bang. He's going for these 4 murders. And we had Chato escorted from the interview room to the holding cells at East LA. And we knew his ego would not let him stay there without talking. So eventually, after another hour or so, we hear from the lockup, hey, I want to talk to you. Well, this means that he's given up his right to silence. And we brought him back out and put him in the interview room. And of course, we talked to him for a little while, but he's not going to give us any real information that's going to implicate him in any of the murders. But because of the photograph we had of him with a 38 stuck in his waistband, this is a 2-inch snub-nosed 38. Well, my partner happened to carry a 2-inch 38 snub-nose. And while he was out of the room, he emptied his 38. He put a fake evidence tag on it and put it in a manila envelope. Then he walked back into the interview room while I was talking to Chato. He throws the picture down on the desk of him, Chato, with a 38 snub nose in his waistband. And then he holds up the evidence manila envelope, and then he pulls the 38 from the envelope with the evidence tag on it. And Chato says, the fucking bitch. Which tells us where the gun is.
Yeah.
And we go back to the girlfriend's house, search the house, and recover the murder weapon.
Wow.
Awesome work. Congratulations, man.
And then he's been in death row since then, right?
Yes.
And now I believe, and maybe somebody can confirm, now I believe that he's part of the, I guess, I don't know if they have a mesa or they have a committee. Right? It's him, Sleepy Huerta, him, and Ronnie Ayala, which Ronnie's not going to be around for a while or for forever after he gets sentenced to federal time at Colorado Supermax. But so way back when, huh? That's how he killed four people to go to death row. That's interesting.
Hey, Richard, did anybody get convicted for Palmas murder? Anybody got charged?
No. Nobody got charged, nor did they ever figure out who brought that weapon into the death row yard.
And you know what, Richard? One of the things that the program administrator said today was that the majority of the time, whenever they would have a stabbing at San Quentin, he worked many years there at San Quentin. He worked the prison gang unit. He was a prison, the criminal activities coordinator. And he says that they would, the majority of the time, find out where and how it was made. Was it a bed bunk? Was it a spring? They would find somewhere where it was made. He said this one was so big and so heavy, like you said, Benny, that it was pure steel. They never, ever found out where it was made, how it was made. that's why the speculation came that it had to be a staff member that brought it in.
Hey, Benny, can I do a shout out right now?
Absolutely.
That's Dan Evanella
Yes.
from Special Services Unit. They
This
call
is
him
you.
Rojo.
Hey.
So
We're going to get him on our show in the next couple of months. He's coming on, Dan.
good.
He says, Richard, tell him about the Maravillas. Tell us about the Maravillas. We got plenty of time.
Well, everybody thinks that Nuestra Familia was the first ones to go up against the Mexican Mafia, but actually it was their own Maravillas who were very suspicious of the Mexican Mafia because so many times the Mexican Mafia didn't kill Norteños. They killed other Sureños. And so many of the people in Maravilla began to say, hey, these guys are as bad as anybody else. We're not sure we want to join their organization. They even had people who were in the organization. And then when the death oath that's required by the Mexican Mafia came into being, they dropped out of the Mexican Mafia. They were allowed to because they didn't want to take the death oath. They wanted to remain loyal to their own neighborhood. And then later on, they again associate with the Mexican Mafia and come back in. So it was a very unusual situation with Maravilla. And there was actually a group called the Maravillosos, and they were a prison gang on their own. Sometimes they would join the 25s, the pesetas, and fight against the Mexican Mafia and other prison gangs. They were still hope to die gangsters, but they weren't with the Mexican Mafia.
Yeah.
Hey, Richard, we have a question before Benny's next question. Whatever happened to Primo, the guy? Whatever happened to him? And I'm going to throw this one in also. What happened to Pelon? Tell us about Primo and Pelon, and then Benny's going to has a question on somebody else.
Yeah, I had heard, I don't know this for sure because I retired after a while, but I had heard that Primo was moved out of there, not because of his request, but because CDC felt that if they killed his homeboy and his crime partner, that he might be also subject to being killed. So I don't know where he's at right now, but Maciel himself was convicted, given the death sentence, and is now on death row. The reason I know that is because I was at a law enforcement conference, 250 law enforcement officers, and they did a Skype or a contact with Luis Maciel while he was in death row. And when he heard my voice, because I asked the question, he said, Valdemar, and he acted like I was long lost homeboy. And then he says, hey, remember when we had the hit contract on you? And I said, yeah. He said, we tried to carry it out, man. We went to the jail, followed you to the jail, but we didn't see you come out. And that's because I went in the front and came out the back. But he said, we still got a hit on you. And he said that in front of 250 witnesses.
Wow. Hey, he ended up dropping out, correct? I mean, for him to be at a law enforcement conference talking, he ended up dropping out, correct?
Yes, but he's still on death row.
He's still, yeah. And you know what? We have a Harvey Greensman. Thank you, brother, for watching. He says, I found a 2-foot long steel stake in a box of toilet paper in Corcoran at SEG in the late 2008.
Shit.
And we thought, yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah, they're very good at what they do.
Yeah. Go ahead, Benny.
So what happened to Güero Shai as a result of all these murders, this mess?
I understand. Güero Shai's been sick off and on basically his whole 20 years. He went in and during the RICO, he was on a health kick, right? So he was not using a lot of heroin, but he controlled heroin, and his wife, Bunny, and his kids did a lot of heroin trafficking in there. When he went back into prison after RICO, I think he started using again. But at any rate, he's in the federal lockup, and I think he's still alive. When I arrested him,
Harvey Green says that he was an inmate, guys. And we thought he was a correctional officer when he found that 2-foot sword. Hey, so the inmate, talking about justice. Okay, they killed Palma. Maciel drops out. Why? The one that originally ordered the hit, the one that could have hit him was Güero Shai. why wasn't he put in? Why wasn't a green light put it on him? On him? Why wasn't he put in the hat?
I would think that the Mexican Mafia would consider that he did his duty, right?
Mhm.
He asked for the gun with the silencer, so they were thinking, well, maybe he's willing to shoot this guy, but he hasn't done it yet. But he's willing to get this guy killed, and then he brings in Maciel, and he says Maciel's going to take care of it, and he gives him the information that he needs where Dito is, and so that's an attempt by one of the Mexican Mafia brand new members and his Sureño army to hit him. So that would make Weroshai at least maybe shady, but not in the hit list category.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna tell you, look at that one.
You know what? I had heard this. As a matter of fact, I saw it on one of the videos, and when they were talking to him, and I believe this is true. Pelon Maciel ended locking it up and is now married to an inmate transsexual. I had heard that. I didn't want to say it, but I'm glad, Champ, that you reminded us about that. That's
I heard
very
that
true.
too.
So, quiere decir que al pelón le gusta que le den el pelón.
En la pelona. And I'll tell you, man, that Gabe, he knows everything. Primo is now at New Folsom. And he said that Pelon is in Corcoran, I believe he said. Gabe definitely knows where all these guys are today. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Man, Richard, you took us on a journey, brother. You took us on a wonderful journey today. I mean, wow, talking about like Nelson said, man, poetic justice. Talking about poetic justice. Very interesting.
But it's not just me. I mean, I had a great team. I had the prison gang team from the sheriff's department, major crimes bureau, todo se paga, and and then the prosecutor ex. Anthony Manzella, who only handled capital cases with the Mexican Mafia, and the guys from El Monte, man, the El Monte gang unit, Marty Penny, those are great cops. I had the privilege of knowing some of these people, and they made what we did successful.
We have one. We'll ask this question because Ben Galvan's a former sheriff, San Diego sheriff. Asked Richard about the Emma hit on Willie Guerrero, aka Crow, from Garrity Loma. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, I remember. I remember part of that. I don't remember the details of that, but Garrity is my favorite. You're not supposed to have a favorite gang, but I love working Garrity, right? That was the best gang. They prided themselves on not having any allies. Everybody around them was their enemy, and tactically they were very good at what they did. And Willie Crow, I talked to him all the time. I told him one time, you know what, Willie? The whole world's not a ghetto. You should go out. He said, yeah, Richard, I go out there. Remember, my wife and I get in the Ramfla, we get water and food. And we put the kids in there. We drive out all the way to Magic Mountain. And I said, no, Crow, I mean, go out like, Yosemite or up in the northern Pacific. And one day he came back and he told me, hey, you're right. It's beautiful up there. But I don't know what happened to him after that.
Yeah. Hey, Richard, man, we are very grateful. Like we always say, you're a man of honor, a man of respect, but above and beyond, you're a man of God. You know what I mean? And we have the utmost respect for you, brother. Thank you. And Benny, I know if he's reached out to you in the next couple of months. We're going to have two episodes with you. We're going to go through your life story. And we did that with us, the host, and we see you as our brother in law enforcement, our brother in Christ. And we're going to do that with you, where we're going to go through your whole life when you were in Vietnam, your whole life story. You know what I mean? And it's going to be 2 episodes. And Benny will give you the dates, but we cannot wait, brother, to have you back for 2, week-to-week episodes to profile your life. And man, it's going to be an honor.
Even the embarrassing parts.
No, I
Oh,
think so.
oh.
Because we said our embarrassing part, right?
Yeah. It says uncensored, man. We're gonna call it Richard Uncensored.
Uncensored. Hey, brother, with that said, mil gracias. Chalo, any last words for our brother?
Hey, you know what, Richard? It's awesome to hear your stories, man.
Yeah.
All the experience, all the stuff that you went through, man. What a career. So gracias,
Well,
man. I really appreciate it.
all of you brothers too.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
that's a
yeah.
lot of law enforcement. There's
Yes,
a lot
it
of
is.
bad guys in prison for us.
Oh yeah.
Ben, Benny, any last words for our brother?
Richard, you know that Mundo's got a lot of photos and he's going to share.
Uh-oh. Embarrassing.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, I want that shirt, bro. If I see you in Campbell, bring me one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, so
Thank you
and
again.
the photos that Mundo has, does Mundo always wear a mask? I'm just messing with you,
No.
brother.
Hey, brother, thank you. Mil gracias una vez más. I can't wait. Benny's going to give us the dates pretty soon when you're going to be for 2 weeks. We're going to have you talking about your life, man. And mil gracias por todo. Blessings to you and your wife and your family, brother.
Thank you,
God
brother.
bless you. Thank
How about
you.
guys?
Cuídate, cuídate.
Man, what an honor. De veras.
Sí.
You know, when we have guests like him, every week we have outstanding guests. I enjoy it. You know what I mean? I mean, what an honor to have these men that are legends, you know, and to their kids, their grandkids are going to watch this episode.
Yeah.
And these
You
episodes
know,
will never die, you know?
hey, David, and well, you know, Richard, well, all of us, while we're doing our job out there, we never think about 10, 15, 20 years from now. You know,
Yeah.
we'll be making, you know, we're history in a way.
Exactly.
You know, we have our own stuff, you know, and when you hear Richard, you're going like, man, back when he was doing all this stuff, he was just doing his job, man. He was trying to, you know, keep people from dying, you know, put people in jail because they deserve to be in jail. I mean, hopefully change somebody's life.
Yeah.
And man, you know, and then he still does it. I mean, he goes to all these conferences and he's teaching all these new officers, opening in their minds to other than what they think they know. And in reality, we don't know much until we get somebody with his experience to come up and tell us, hey, bro, you know what? You know, there's more. Como él dijo, there's more to life than their little barrio. You know, you got to go out there and experience stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely, man. Hey, Benny, I can't wait. Hopefully, you're gonna let us know for that two episodes where we're gonna profile his life story. I have a feeling it's gonna be a month episode, dude. I mean, the things that he has investigated, has done in his life. I can't wait. I can't wait. It's gonna be a great episode.
Yeah, it's gonna be in March. So,
okay, good. I can't wait.
Hey, for those that missed the introduction video, just hang on there because David's going to play it again. That was really good for Richard. It was very poetic for today's episode.
Yeah, Benny, tell us about next week's episode.
Next week we got Dustin Wester. He's a friend of ours. He used to be Imperial County Sheriff. Now he works for Imperial PD. Dustin is he's a lateral from Rocky Mount Police Department in North Carolina. One of Dustin's assignments there was working outlaw biker gangs and street gangs. We're going to discuss the difference between East and West Coast gangs. It's interesting because that's a different style back there in the East Coast. How are they structured? How do police on the East Coast work gangs? It's going to be very interesting. So join us.
Yeah, it's gonna be outstanding. I can't wait. And you know what? This guy has a heart of gold. He's the one that makes the coins, right? And donates, I mean, thousands of dollars to all these tragedies.
Yes.
Yeah. I can't wait to have him on the show. It's going to be outstanding. And guys, tomorrow on Ash Wednesday, have your drink ready, have your cigar ready, or have your water ready. It doesn't matter. We got San Diego PD cold case detective Lori Adams is going to be on the show tomorrow. She's going to be talking or sharing, taking us on a journey to several cold cases from 1973, from 1981, cold cases that she was able to solve with her team and her unit because of new technology. Tomorrow, I mean, this woman, I mean, when you read her resume, you're going to hear Bobby tomorrow, Arce, talking about it. It is going to be an outstanding show, outstanding. And I just want to give you guys a quick briefing on who we have next week on Ash Wednesday. And we're going to talk about it tomorrow. But we have Steve Duncan coming on, and he's going to talk for an hour plus on Gus Rivera, on P1 from the Arellano Cartel. He'll be with us next Wednesday on Ash Wednesday. With that said, Benny, any last words, brother?
With all the demonstrations going on now, don't let your emotions get to you, man. I know they're getting in your face. They're doing stupid stuff. It's the mob mentality. You have a job to do. Stay calm, stay alert, stay professional. Man, I was there. I know how you feel. Just do it right.
Chalo?
And guys, you know what? This goes in with having integrity to do what the right thing is. Always do the right thing, and like Benny says, don't let your emotions take over you. As much as we want to opine on what we think, we got you got a job to do to the community, and you got to stay neutral. Whether you're on the left, on the right, just you don't when you're on, especially when you're on duty, don't give your opinion because it's gonna come back and bite you. So have integrity, man. A lot of integrity.
Those of you that are still working and those that are retired or those that are considering retired, remember, live a purpose-driven life. Live every day like it's your last day on earth. Cherish every moment. Get up in the morning, raise your hands, thank the Lord for another day. Cherish every moment. And before we end, I just want to say one last thing. No matter what you're going through, if you're going through trials, tribulations, or if you're having a great time in life, just remember, trust the process. It's a process. Life's a process. PTSD, everything is a process. Cancer, everything. But above and beyond, trust the author. And our author is Jesus Christ. Never forget that. Trust the process, no matter what you're going through, but trust the author, Jesus Christ. With that said, thank you. God bless you. We'll see you tomorrow on Ash Wednesday. See you next week also. God bless you.
Until you cut me down.